everybody.
Hello. Well,
We're back.
yes, this was going to be a. We're just saying, our good friend Deep Throat sent us some information, and when we looked at it, we decided to
There's
do
a little more
something a
involved.
little bit different.
Yeah, there's a little more involved than just a quick.
Yeah.
Just saying.
What we want to do first is we want to establish a fact about Jehovah's Witnesses, and this. For those that have been Jehovah's Witnesses for many decades, you know the atrocities that happened to our brothers and sisters in Malawi during the 60s and early 70s. Many of our brothers and sisters were persecuted, tortured, some even murdered. They were displaced out of the country as refugees. In fact, in Raymond Franz's book, Crisis of Conscience, he writes a little bit about this, what happened, on pages 144 through 149. But I just want to show that during that time period, Watchtower had published many articles in their magazines. Down here, Raymond writes, details of the attacks in the condition in the refugee camps are found in the 1965 Yearbook of Jehovah's Witnesses, page 171. Awake magazine, February 8th. 1968, pages 16 through 22. The Watchtower, February 1st, 1968, pages 71 through 79. Again, The Awake, December 8th, 1972, pages 9 through 28. December 8th, 1975, pages 3 through 13.
And I know my mother wrote letters, that they had sent all these letters over to the Malawi government.
I also remember as a kid my mom telling me to pray for the brothers and sisters in Malawi because of the persecution. But what was the real crux of the issue? Well, we'll just let Raymond Franz answer that. Page 144, down towards the bottom. He says, what was the issue around which this recurrent storm of violence revolved? It was the refusal of the witnesses to purchase a party card of the ruling political party. And that was really the crux of the whole thing.
Now, this wasn't choosing a political party. There was only one. So this is kind of like the same as a Social Security card, like what we have here in the United States.
Yeah, and this dictator at the time, as Raymond Franz brings out, was a lifelong dictator. So there was never, ever going to be another ruling party. But he goes on page 145. He says, the issue hinged on the fact that the card was a political card representing membership in a political party. To many, and particularly to Jehovah's Witnesses, the word political is viewed as describing something inherently bad. And I'm just going to leave it there because most Jehovah's Witnesses, realize they don't get involved with the politics of the country. They don't salute flags because you're giving your allegiance to the country, which is governed by political parties.
You don't become members of the UN because
right, yeah, exactly.
So why are we bringing this up, Mikey?
Well, the thing is I just want to say one more thing before we get into this. Jehovah's Witnesses that have become associated with the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, even in the past 10 years, do not really know what happened to your fellow brothers and sisters, my brothers and sisters in Malawi during that time. That's a part of Watchtower history that they really don't want to acknowledge anymore because of their involvement with the United Nations and things like this. But something has been brought to our attention
by our dear friend.
Yes, and we also want to keep in mind that when it came to the brothers in Malawi during that time period, a 25-cent political card could have stopped all that persecution. Okay? 25 cents.
We should also mention, too, that in Ray Franz's book here, he talks about how in Mexico, their military card, they actually bribed officials to get them stamped. So they had the military card in their possession, and they actually bribed officials to stamp it.
Right.
So, how is that any different?
Right. But what we want to show now is what's going on for a current events.
Yeah.
Yes, and this comes
In
from Deep Throat.
Chile, yeah, in Chile, all churches and other entities must display the country's flag at all times or pay a fine of $220. Rather than pay the fine and remain neutral as to nationalism, cheap-ass Watchtower chooses to save $220 and display the flag. Note the flag in the window and a flag on a pole out in front and a jw.org logo on the buildings.
And we will show the picture. The issue at hand, Jehovah's Witnesses, is that our brothers and sisters were tortured, beaten, the women were raped, some of them were killed because they would not buy. Watchtower would not allow them brothers and sisters to buy a 25-cent political card because Watchtower had a very debased view of what was going on. Because in reality, when you live in the United States, you are assigned a Social Security number. That Social Security number identifies you as a member of the country to which you live in, and here it's the United States. So I am, by extension of that Social Security card, a member of the political parties of the United States. Okay? And these poor brothers and sisters took a horrible beating because of a 25-cent card. But yet in Chile, churches are required to carry the Chile flag or pay a $225 fine. Watchtower, how come you're not neutral?
I'm thinking that's per congregation,
I'm sure it's
or per Kingdom Hall.
I'm absolutely sure of that, but it's probably per Kingdom Hall.
But see, this hurts Watchtower, right?
Right. This hurts Watchtower.
Right in the wallet. So, of course, they're not going to...
So, Watchtower, why are you compromising again? See, this time it's costing you money, and you compromise. You're just a bunch of hypocritical bastards. That's all you are. People lost their lives because of your bullshit understanding of Christian neutrality. But yet now, where's your Christian neutrality when it's costing you in your own pocketbook?
So I wonder what would happen if witnesses started displaying the United States
they'd all get disfellowshipped.
In their Kingdom Halls.
Yeah. I mean, every time you turn on your television Sunday morning, you happen to see some televangelist in their little church or their little synagogue, and there's a United States flag up against the wall. You Jehovah's Witnesses, you immediately go, oh, see, they're not political neutral. See, they're not politically neutral. See, you automatically go there, but yet when the Chile flag is displayed on Kingdom Hall property in Kingdom Hall windows, you view it differently. Do you see how twisted the mind is of these people? So I guess let's just show them the picture.
All right, let's say good night and then put the picture, right?
Good night.
You all have a good evening.